Good evening. I would like to welcome everyone to the January 24th, 2022 meeting of the Environmental and Public Works Committee. The meeting will now come to order. Will the clerk please call the roll?
Mr. Blankley.
Here.
Mr. Blankley is present. Mr. Florio.
Here.
Mr. Florio is present. Mr. Hebert.
Here.
Mr. Hebert is present. Ms. Hughes Smith.
Here.
Ms. Hughes Smith is present. Mr. Mafucci.
Here.
Mr. Mafucci is present. Chairman McCabe.
Here.
Chairman McCabe is present. Mr. Turp.
Here.
Mr. Turp is present.
We'll need to suspend the rules of the legislature for the purpose of prohibiting public in-person attendance. You have a non-debatable motion on your agenda, which needs a maker and a second.
Move it, Mr. Chair.
Moved by Mr. Turp,
Second.
second by Mr. DeFlorio. All of those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Motion carries. Any opposed? I'm sorry. I thought everybody said yes. Okay. Item carries. Is there anyone signed up for the public forum?
There is not.
Thank you. The next item on the agenda is approval of the minutes. You have the November 22nd, 2021 minutes of the Environment and Public Works Committee before you. They will stand approved unless the clerk is notified of any changes by the end of the day. Moving on, the next item on the agenda is new business.
Referral number 22-0005. Authorize a contract with the Chase Construction Services LLC for construction management services for the county office building HVAC upgrades project.
Move it, Mr. Chairman.
Second.
Moved by Mr. Turp, seconded by Mr. Florio. Is there any discussion?
Legislator Hugh Smith.
Legislator Hugh Smith.
Thank you. Through you to the administration, could someone explain what the upgrades are and whether there's any energy efficiency that is occurring at the same time, or if any consideration's been given to heat pumps, moving away from fossil fuel for heating, for air or ground source heat pumps, given the new climate law that we're going to all have to comply with?
Through the chair, this is Mike Garland, Director of DES. This project will involve the complete replacement of the heating, ventilation, air conditioning system within the county office building. There are a number of elements within the building that will be replaced. 128 water source heat pumps, 2 evaporative cooling towers, 2 makeup air units with heat recovery wheels, the entire HVAC control system, 2 heat exchangers, heat pump loop, hot water condensation piping, ductwork throughout the building, and LED lighting throughout the building. And then the drop ceilings will be replaced as well. Those are the components of the project. In response to the legislator's question with regard to energy efficiency, the systems will be designed to meet or exceed the New York State energy code. We will pursue rebates through the utility, certainly. But just so folks are aware, the county office building relies on steam generated by the Rochester District Heating Cooperative, which we're a primary member of RDH. And we certainly work with RDH and provide technical support as they explore other energy efficiency opportunities and renewable energy opportunities for their steam production facility.
Thank you, Mr. Garland. Appreciate that.
Any other questions?
Legislator Hebert.
Legislator Hebert.
Thank you, thank you, Mr. Chairman. Through you to the administration, can you tell us who else submitted RFP responses and what the dollar amounts were for each bid?
Through the chair, we went out for RFP through the General Construction Management Services request. Again, when we do RFPs like this, they're based on qualifications. And so there were 11 firms that responded to the RFP for General Construction Management Services. And LaChase was selected as the most qualified for the services to be provided.
Could you please provide the names of the respondees, through you, Mr. Chairman, the administration, could you please provide the names of the respondees and the dollar amounts of each bid, please?
Through the chair, we can provide the list of the names of the firms that responded to the RFP for general construction management services. But again, the RFPs did not include price proposals. It was based on their qualification and experience. And then once the firm is selected, then we work, based on their qualifications and a number of other criteria through the procurement process. Then we work with the firm, that individual firm who's been selected, to negotiate a scope and fee. But we can certainly provide you with, the legislator, with a list of the 11 respondents to that particular RFP.
Thank you, Mr. Garland, and through you, Mr. Chairman, to the administration, could you tell us exactly what's included in the construction management services scope-wise?
Yes, these are services that we will categorize as design phase services. And these design phase services will assist with cost estimating, value engineering, developing the overall program schedule, including bidding and construction, identification of key project milestones. They'll do constructability review. They'll identify, materials and equipment that may have long procurement lead time, particularly specialty projects like HVAC controls. And they'll do constructability reviews of the design submissions. They'll review project specifications. They will also assist in the implementation of the project, because this work is going to have to occur at the COB, most likely after hours. So there'll be a lot of coordination and planning associated with project implementation to minimize disruption to county operations in a county office building.
Thank you, Mr. Garland. Through you, Mr. Chairman, the administration. At one point in this referral, it refers that total cost cannot exceed the total capital fund appropriation for this contract. Can you tell us what that total capital fund allocation is, appropriation is, rather?
Through the chair, the total capital fund appropriation is $9.4 million.
Thank you. And through you, last question, I think, through you, Mr. Chairman, to the administration. The referral mentions that this is being done based off of a 2009 master plan that's 13 years old. Are there other projects still remaining from that master plan from 2009? And if yes, shouldn't we have another analysis done of what might be required, given that we're 13 years down the road?
Yep. Through the chair, this is the last component of that master plan. As you may recall, over the past 10 years, we've made electrical upgrades, upgrades to restrooms, and more recently, the replacement of the exterior windows, which were renovated and in some instances replaced for energy efficiency purposes. So this is the last of the final major recommendations made in that master plan.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I yield the floor.
Legislator DeFlorio.
Legislator DeFlorio.
Thank you. Through the chair to the administration, I'm sorry if I'm a little bit confused, but the indication was that you send out a request for proposal, but then you base the choice on a request, or you deem the person that you selected as most qualified. So are they submitting an RFQ or are they submitting an RFP?
Through the chair, we follow the county procurement policy for professional services. We're using the terminology RFP, and one may also use the terminology RFQ, but it was the responses that we were requesting, which we do for construction managers as well as for architects and engineers, are for qualifications.
So you're requesting qualifications, not proposals.
Through the chair, we're not requesting financial proposals. But through the chair, if I may add, it's more than just qualifications. It's also demonstrating their project understanding, their project approach, who is on their team, who their M and WBE consultants are on the team, their capacity and availability to provide those services. So there's a number of criteria that go into a selection process. But again, following the county's procurement policy for these type of design services for architects, engineers, and construction managers, we do not request a financial proposal until that firm is selected, and then we finalize the scope and fee.
Got it. Thank you. That makes a little clearer now. Thank you.
Legislator Hugh Smith.
Legislator Hugh Smith.
Just to follow up, Mr. Garland, do you have an estimate on energy savings that the upgrades, will yield?
Through the chair, we don't presently have that, but as we progress design and we can further estimate what those energy savings will be, as well as potential rebates. So if I could just ask for some time to be able to present that and allow design to advance a little bit further, we will report back to your honorable body with that information. Also bear in mind too that we will be back before the legislature for approval of the construction contracts too. So we'll have a lot more definition to the project at that time.
That's great, thank you. And would that be the appropriate time to discuss whether there will be labor agreements associated with the construction? Or do you know that now?
Through the chair, as you know, there are a number of projects that we evaluate for project labor agreements. Typically, those are ones that are of much greater value and would yield, appropriate savings. This project has not been identified as one, just based on the estimated construction value.
Thank you, Mr. Garland. I'm done.
Thank you. Any other questions or comments? All right, with that, all those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
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 Any opposed? Item carries. Moving on.
Referral number 22-0006. Authorize a contract with SWBR Architecture, Engineering, and Landscape Architecture, DPC, for professional design services for the Frontier Field Improvements Project.
Move it.
Second.
Moved by Legislator DeFleur, seconded by Legislator Hebert. Questions, comments?
Legislator Hebert.
Legislator Hebert.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Through you to the administration, could you please tell us who else provided bids and what the dollar amounts were for each of those?
Through the chair, the firms that were considered were Barton and LaJudas, CHA Consulting, Labella Associates, and SWBR. And again,
Did this follow
consistent with my go ahead, I beg your pardon.
Process you just described in the previous referral?
Through the chair, that is correct.
Okay, save you a little time, Mr. Garland. Through you, Mr. Chairman, to the administration, what's the total capital fund appropriation for this contract?
Okay, through the chair, we have authorized in 2022 $2 million. We have another $1 million scheduled in the CIP, and the aggregate amount is $3 million that will be that's been identified in the CIP for Frontier Field Stadium seating and caulking replacement.
Through you, thank you.
And we expect
Go ahead.
Go ahead. Through
Go
the
ahead.
chair, through the chair, that's the funding we've identified for those type of improvements. Again, this is separate and distinct from the MLB improvements. These are for, facility-wide improvements that may be identified. SWBR will assist with condition assessment of other core infrastructure and other key elements within the building. But presently, the funding that we have available is associated with the seating and caulking replacement.
Mr. Chairman, through you to the administration, just to clarify, I want to make sure I heard. So this is repair work or upgrades or whatever being done completely separate and distinct, I believe is the term you use, from the major league requirements. Is that correct?
Through the chair, that is exactly correct.
Thank you. I yield the floor then, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you, Legislator Hebert. Any other questions? All right, with that, all those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
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 Any opposed? Seeing none, the referral carries. Moving on.
Referral number 22-0007, authorize a contract with Krista Construction LLC for construction management services for the Frontier Field Major League Baseball Requirements Project.
Can I get a motion?
This is you.
So moved.
Second.
Moved by Legislator Hebert, seconded by Legislator Turp. Anybody have any questions?
Legislator Hebert.
Legislator Hebert.
Pretty much through you, Mr. Chairman, pretty much the same questions I had before, but who else bid and what were the dollar amounts of the bids?
Through the chair, the same principles apply from my prior responses as it relates to the qualifications that were requested in our RFP, if you will. So we did receive financial proposals from each of the firms that responded, but through the chair, the 7 firms that responded that were considered were C&S, Campus Construction, Krista Construction, DeMarco Constructors, LaChase, Lero, and the Pike Company.
And through you, Mr. Chairman, the administration, what's the total capital fund appropriation for this contract?
Through the chair, $12 million.
And through you, Mr. Chairman, the administration, does this include all of the projects that are required for the opening day 2023 MLB requirements list?
Through the chair, yes, these services, these construction management services are for all of the MLB requirements project. All the key components that have been presented to your honorable body in the past in creating the capital fund, as well as the outcome from the study that was done. Again, this is a construction management services to be able to accomplish all of the MLB requirements work.
And through you,
through the chair by 2025.
So once again, just to clarify, through you, Mr. Chair, to the administration, so this includes all of the open day requirements for 23, 24, and 2025.
Through the chair, that is correct.
And just to refresh my memory, through you, Mr. Chairman of the administration, the $12 million capital fund appropriation covers all of those projects through 2025, or just this particular set? Or
through the chair, it covers all of the projects through 2025.
I yield the floor, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you, Legislator Hebert. Any other questions? Seeing no other questions, all those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Referral carries. Moving on.
Referral number 22-0008, authorize a contract with CHA Consulting, Inc. for design services for the Rehabilitate Taxiway A from Taxiway A4 to Taxiway E project at the Frederick Douglass Greater Rochester International Airport.
Move it, Mr. Chair.
Second.
Moved by Legislator Turp, seconded by Legislator DeFlorio. Anybody have any questions?
Legislator Hebert.
Legislator Hebert.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Through you to the administration, was this contract issued under RFP or RFQ?
Through the chair, this is Andy Moore, Director of Aviation. This contract with CHA was selected through the airport due to the request for proposal opportunities that was put out back in 2020, and this honorable body selected 3 consultants, CHA, McFarland Johnson, and Passero, back in December of 2020 as designated airport engineering term contractors.
Thank you, Mr. Moore. And through you, Mr. Chairman, the administration, in the 4th paragraph, it refers to Resolution 320 of 2020. And when I looked that up, it didn't seem to have anything to do with this particular topic. Is that referral? Is that reference correct? Or could you just make sure it is and confirm that with us, please?
Through the chair, I believe resolution 320 of 2020 was the resolution by this legislature that voted on the 3 engineering companies as term contractors. Does that answer the question?
Well, I through you, Mr. Chairman, I'd just like you to verify that, because when I looked it up on the county website, resolution 320 of 2020 was for the MCC heat and power plant improvements.
Through the chair, I'm looking at my notes. I believe intro number 453, resolution 320 of 2020, dated December 8th, 2020, by a vote of 29-0, approved the term engineers for the airport for the 3 companies. That was approved by the county executive on December of 2020, per my notes, but I will confirm that.
Through the chair, this is Don Crum. I have the resolution in front of me, and it is 320 of 2020 for the term contract.
Thank you. I yield the floor, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you, Mr. Hebert. Any other questions? Seeing none, all those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
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 Any opposed? Referral moves on. Thank you. Next.
Referral number 22-0009, classification of action and determination of significance pursuant to the State Environmental Quality Review Act, the acquisition of interest in real property for permanent easement located at 1492 Spencerport Road in the town of Gates.
Move it, Mr. Chair.
Second.
Moved by Legislator DeFlorio, second by Legislator Hebert. Any questions, comments, or discussion? Seeing none, can I get all those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Referral carries. Moving on.
Referral number 22-0032, classification of action and determination of significance pursuant to the State Environmental Quality Review Act for the sale of county-owned tax foreclosure property in Honeyway Falls.
Can I get a motion on that?
Move it.
Second.
Moved by Legislator Hebert, seconded by Legislator Turp. Questions, comments, discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
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 Any opposed? Referral moves on. Next item.
Referral number 22-0034, classification of action and determination of significance pursuant to the State Environmental Quality Review Act for the sale of county-owned tax foreclosure property located in the village of Honeyway Falls.
Move it, Mr. Chair.
Moved by Legislator
Second.
Turp, seconded by Legislator DeFlorio. Any comments, questions, or concerns?
34.
Seeing none, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
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 Any opposed? Referral moves on. Next item.
Referral number 22-0039, authorize Monroe County to submit funding applications to federal, state, and/or not-for-profit funding assistance programs.
Move it, Mr. Chair.
Second.
By legislator DeFlorio, second by legislator Hebert. Any comments, questions, or discussion on this?
Legislator Hugh Smith.
Legislator Hugh Smith.
It is, through you to the administration, is there any more detail about the types of projects we're expecting to address with this funding?
Yes, through the chair. Again, this is Mike Garland, Director DES. This is an annual referral that we submit on behalf of all county departments so that it gives them, for all intents and purposes, pre-approval to apply for, the federal, state, or nonprofit funding assistance programs. And then when we're successful in those grants, we, of course, bring them back to your honorable body for approval. And the reason we do this at the beginning of the year, it's a time saver for us, that we get this approval taken care of so that we're ready to apply. So again, I can't speak for other departments in terms of what types of grants they will pursue, but certainly New York State's Consolidated Funding Application Program, CFA program, is one that I know DES and other departments, parks as well as, airport and planning will utilize for really consolidated funding approach for different state agencies. We've been successful to date in 2021 with a number of projects, including funding through the New York State Department of Environmental Conservation and their Climate Smart Communities Grant Program. We were awarded $97,000 towards a climate action plan. In addition, there was funding from the Empire State Development for funding at Frontier Field. And there's a number of other environmental programs that we've applied for as well, that we're waiting for a response from the state government. We also got a grant for the Genesee Valley Pump Station to do an engineering planning grant. Going into 2022, certainly we'll take a hard look at the CFA process when it's out, but I expect we'll be applying for more funding at Frontier Field. We'll likely be applying for the construction dollars for the Genesee Valley Pump Station once the engineering planning grant is complete. And again, I can't speak to the other departments, but I'm sure there'll be several other grant opportunities pursued both at the state and federal level.
Thank you very much, Mr. Garland, and I yield the floor. Appreciate that.
Thank you, Legislator Hugh Smith. Any other questions, comments, discussion? Seeing none, can I get all those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Seeing none, referral moves on. Are there any other matters to come before the committee this evening? With seeing none, with no other matters before the committee, on January 24th, 2022, the meeting of the Environment and Public Works Committee stands adjourned. The next meeting of the Environment and Public Works Committee is scheduled for Monday, February 14th, 2022 at 5:15. Thank you, everyone.